You are listening to the Keeping It Juicy podcast.
Your main squeeze in nutrition.
Don't forget to subscribe so you can join us every Tuesday for a brand new episode.
Also, don't forget to add us on Instagram and Facebook at Keeping It Juicy Podcast.
You ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Nice job.
Here. I'm here all day.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 65.
And if you guys don't already know, National Nutrition Month is here. And with that being said, RD Day is just around the corner from this episode. So tune in for some more information.
Yep, so that's kind of what the theme of this episode is all about. But before we dive into that, let's tackle our new nutrition in the news. This is such an interesting study. Where did I find it?
We've been finding a lot of interesting stuff lately.
Yeah, let us know if you like more of these off-the-wall studies or like the new nutrition in the news like last week about the avocado sellers, or if you like more appropriate.
Imagine them calling their parents or their spouses. I'm
in jail.
They put like $1,000 bail on me. I don't know what to do.
I stole some avocados.
Oh, God.
Yikes. Anyways, so this study basically looked at placement of the tongue and the tongue involvement in relation to isokinetic extension and flexion exercises. So 18 participants underwent isokinetic testing at 90 and 180 degrees with 3 different tongue positions. The first one was middle position, which was the thrusting on the lingual surface of the incisive teeth. And then the next one was low, so that was lying on the lower arch of the mouth. And then the up position, which extended up to the palatine spot. So 3 different tongue positions, and they checked to see which one yielded the most isokinetic increase. Gosh. So statistical analysis of the data revealed about a 30% increase of knee flexion peak torque in the up position with respect to the mid position at both angular speeds. So basically, tongue position matters. Long story short.
Oh, I feel like you're talking dirty to me right now.
I have no idea where you would get that from, but
tongue position, excuse you.
With sarcasm. So yes, tongue position does matter when it comes to flexion and extension of the knee. To run out of the gutter, but further studies are needed in order to completely understand this surprising relationship between tongue position and lower limb performance.
Ooh, provocative. So, moving on. We're mature, anyways. But with that being said, let us know how you feel about this. So,
okay, I do get it. Like, all jokes aside, like when you're doing an exercise and you kind of make like an ugly face or something, like, yeah. I get it. I do get it. And I don't know, maybe when you are exerting as much force as possible, there is like, I don't know, a natural tongue position of that. And when you're trying to do something different, obviously you're having to be conscious about your tongue position, which might be taking away from some of the effort of the exercise. I don't know. The study unfortunately didn't have any sort of suggestion as to why this is. I mean, it was a very small study. I've never heard of anything like this, so
I wish I kind of explained the background or how this came about. Like, one of them was just like working out in the gym and they were looking at each other. They're like, I'm making a lot of tongue action going on while I'm lifting this weight. I don't know.
Right. I mean, the study didn't, unfortunately. It's a very quick read study. Obviously, the study will be in our show notes and the link in our bio. So check it out. It's just interesting. It's odd.
Yeah. Well, we're here for the odd stuff, so I feel like it's appropriate.
Very.
So with that being said, let's kind of dive into actual show content, and it's obviously all about National Nutrition Month and what it means to be a dietitian and what it doesn't mean to be a dietitian. And we'll go into that. So before we go all about that, let's talk about what the hell is National Nutrition Month. In case you didn't know, National Nutrition Month is also Social Worker Month, Athletic Training Month, and a bunch of other months, which I don't know why, like maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm not aware of other professions.
That's
But
possible, yeah.
I feel like there might be an overlap in other months for having their own like months, but I feel like there's a lot going on in the month of March, and then it's actually National Kidney. I think so too. But there's a
Gotcha.
lot there's a lot going on. But long story short,
Hmm.
I feel like it's important to recognize this because National Nutrition Month actually used to be National Nutrition Week. So just 7 days, one and done. But then over the years, they became the entire month of March. So, in fact, the first National Nutrition Week campaign was actually launched in 1973. Doesn't mean that the dietetics field didn't exist up to this point. It just means that that's when they actually started advocating and letting people know, hey, we are behind a lot of the nutrition information that you see out in the media. So they had presidential proclamation, TV and radio public service announcements, news releases, and bumper stickers, all featuring the theme "Invest in Yourself by Nutrition." So that was the first kind of theme going on. So from the beginning, National Nutrition Week was enthusiastically embraced by the American Dietetic Association, which is the former Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Um, they kind of view this as an opportunity to promote the profession as well as to serve kind of like a vehicle for delivering nutrition education messages to the public that they needed at that time. And newspaper coverage gave the ADA more lines of copy than ever before in the history of the association at the time. I mean, like a lot of stuff that you see to help campaign National Nutrition Month include posters, table tents, tray mats, and all that stuff. They were produced with the National Nutrition Week theme and eventually became the foundation for the range of National Nutrition Month promotional items that we use today. So eventually, each year had a theme to the National Nutrition Month, which I'm sure every profession, every single year, they have a different theme going on. And we'll attach these themes in the show notes because I'm not going to go through 50 of these themes. But I mean, they even, National Nutrition Week used to even have a mascot called NutriBird.
Oh
It
my
was,
gosh.
I saw the old pictures and we'll probably attach it. And
Yeah.
it's a pretty old school looking bird,
Oh my
but I'm
goodness.
glad we don't have it anymore. Long story
Yeah.
short.
But yeah, there's a different theme with each year. And this year, the theme is Eat Right, Bite by Bite.
Mm-hmm.
The overall message this year is that quality nutrition isn't restrictive, but small changes to a diet can have a cumulative effect on health over time. Every healthy nutritional choice is a choice in the right direction, which I happen to agree 100% with. We preach this kind of a lot in many
Mm-hmm.
of our different episodes. So Registered Dietitian Nutritionist Day and National Nutrition Month promote the Academy and RDNs to the public and the media as the most valuable and credible source of timely, scientific-based food and nutrition information.
Emphasis on the scientific based.
Correct. Yes. So we are going to get more into that part. So keep that in mind.
So, with that being said, let's talk quickly about what is National RD Day or Dietitian Day. So, with that being said, we must be wondering when the hell is it? Well, you're in luck. It's tomorrow, Wednesday, March 11th, 2020. So, call it RD Day or RDN Day. I prefer RD because I don't, that's a lot of letters to my name. Like, I don't need that in my life. So, actually, RD Day was actually first celebrated in 2008, believe it or not, which I can't believe it took that many years
Yeah,
or that
that's
much
not very
time.
long ago.
Mm-mm. I mean, not that they weren't trying to promote it in the first place, but it's like, I guess the first time it was actually nationally recognized.
Mhm.
Um, well, I mean, we gotta start somewhere. So it
2008
basically,
it is.
yeah, basically they view dietitians as advocates for advancing the nutrition status of Americans and just people around the world. And RDN Day celebrated is typically celebrated each year on the second Wednesday in March, and it was created by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, I guess quickly after they changed their name, to increase the awareness of registered dietitian nutritionists as the indispensable providers of food and nutrition services. It's not a monopoly, so don't come at me. Um, this occasion also serves to recognize both audience and nutrition and dietetic technicians as well. So DTRs, shout out to you too. Basically for their commitment to helping people enjoy healthy lives. Um, Again, I'm not sure why this took so long to actually come into effect, but I'm still glad that it's here now and we are celebrating it. So yeah.
So now we are going to dive into the difference between RD and nutritionist. Honestly, you should all know by now, but many of our listeners might not. So that's why we're going to talk about it today. You know, not all of our listeners are in the dietetics field, they're
Right.
just simply interested in nutrition. So this is valuable information to always kind of re-emphasize to everybody.
Hmm.
So if any of our listeners do not know, here's just kind of like a quick refresher, or this might be the first time you hear it, but what it actually means to be a dietitian. So registered dietitian, nutritionist, RDN, or RD, those are all kind of used interchangeably, are the food and nutrition experts who can translate the science of nutrition into practical solutions for healthy living. Registered dietitian and nutritionists have degrees in nutrition, dietetics, public health, or a related field from a well-respected, accredited college or university, completed an internship, which you have to pay for.
Well,
uh,
some of them.
most of them,
Yeah.
most of them. So internship that, again, you have to pay for most of the time, and pass an examination and maintain continuing education credits.
So basically, in regards to that, I actually want to say real quickly, if you remember the YouTube video about forest plots uh,
Yes.
on the Joe Rogan episode about basically how that guy was talking about the Game Changers episode, and I had commented underneath saying, well, why isn't there a dietitian on this podcast to really talk about the science behind veganism and whatnot?
Mm-hmm.
And someone had replied back saying, um, dietitians are taught old information, and we can always research our own, which is fine and dandy. You can research your own,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
in order to keep our credentials, we have to have continuing education.
Right.
So is this?
Exactly.
I replied back saying we do require continuing education, and he never responded. So I'm just saying.
Well, that's why you don't get into arguments on the internet.
Well, hello. I don't know what else to do sometimes.
You're
Well,
such a troll.
I mean, he never responded, so I won that argument clearly. But
Okay. Okay. No, but it
okay.
is true. To be an RD, you do need continuing education. Um,
Same as all health professionals.
exactly. Exactly. So the thing is too, like RDs have to follow scientific evidence. You know, just because there's an idea about something, it needs to be like tested before it can actually be put into practice, you know? And
Right.
that stuff takes time.
Hmm.
So registered dietitian, nutritionists use their nutrition expertise to help individuals make personalized, positive lifestyle changes. Registered dietitian, nutritionists work throughout the community in hospitals, schools, public health clinics, nursing homes, sometimes fitness centers. Food management in the food industry is a route as well. Universities, private practice, and much, much more. It's not just, weight loss type stuff.
Right.
Registered dietitians are advocates for advancing the nutritional status of Americans and people around the world.
Right. And I do want to point out like what dietitians do in America are definitely different, not by a whole lot, but different compared to some other countries. Like, for example, in Europe, they don't have dietitians working in the food industry. That's just not something that they have. At least that's from some of my conversations with other dietitians in other countries have been. So this is just applicable for American dietitians at this point. So with this being said, I do want to go on to say that we already touched upon this on one of our earliest episodes, but beginning on January 1st, 2024 in America, the CDR, which is the Commission of Dietetic Registration for our credentialing, is raising the minimum required education level for the prospective registered dietitians from a bachelor's degree to a graduate degree, which I feel like should have happened a while ago. But obviously, with politics and lobbying and legislation, that's going to take a bit. So basically, in layman's term, this means that new dietitians will be required to hold a master's or a doctorate degree to be considered eligible to sit for the registration exam. RDs and RDNs are also held to a professional code of ethics, unlike some of
Many.
y'all, unlike a lot of y'all out there.
Yeah.
In case you guys don't know, I do have a master's, and I think I had it right before I sat down. But I mean, it's not required now, but why not get it?
Well, in 2024 it will be. So
Yeah, but
right
I
away.
could have been grandfathered in.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to be no grandfather. But
That's possible.
I don't know. But I just wanted to be ahead of the times, you know.
Yes.
So who knows? I might go back to school later on too. Again, you never know. Okay, so let's do a quick refresher on what it means to be a nutritionist. Absolutely nothing. I'm just kidding. But
For the most part, yeah.
but honestly, at least in America, and I'm not saying in South America because obviously things are different down there, but in America, in the United States, the term nutritionist is not regulated. So technically, anyone can call themselves or him or herself a nutritionist, even with no formal training, license, or certification.
Right.
Although some states do require some sort of certification depending on the company they work for, but those tend to be more common in states without licensure, which we'll go into in a little bit. And if they do their business online, that's a
really
little complicated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Most states that license the practice of dietetics and nutrition also include a practice exclusivity clause, which limits the ability of unlicensed individuals to provide services within the defined scope of practice for the regulated profession. So currently, 47 states, Puerto Rico, and the District of Columbia have laws that regulate the dietetics profession or associated titles such as dietitian and nutritionist. Our consumer protection efforts ensure that consumers are able to identify and access qualified professionals who demonstrate the knowledge, skill, and competency necessary to provide safe and ethical nutrition therapy. As the public increasingly understands the importance of good nutrition, some individuals without any formal education, training, or expertise in human nutrition or dietetics are exploiting this newly recognized market.
ain't that the truth?
And you can go on Instagram and Exhibit A.
Right. So, with that being said, states' professional licensing laws help consumers identify who is a qualified practitioner to provide a particular set of specified services known as the profession's scope of practice, something that suddenly does not exist for a lot of these people. So, some individuals are not qualified for licensure because they lack the objective accredited education, experience, and examination demonstrating their competency to provide services within the regulated profession's scope of practice. So, with that being said, in addition to helping that public identify and access these qualified practitioners, licensure often provides health insurance companies and state and federal governments with the assurance that these practitioners meet standards of professional competence in order to be reimbursed for providing nutrition care services. So any healthcare provider that you go to, they're gonna get reimbursed by insurance. That's just supposed to be the way it goes. But in states without licensure, other nutrition professionals or paraprofessionals may be reimbursed for nutrition services despite meeting only some of the qualifications required to become a registered dietitian nutritionist, aka California, and some other states. So, to give some examples, states also license healthcare providers such as physicians, dentists, pharmacists, and dietetics and nutrition professionals to ensure that individuals providing health and personal services have met high objective education, experience, and examination requirements. I mean, with this being said, it's it's kind of hard to believe that not all states have licensure at this point. It's kind of it makes me like I feel so confused about it to this day because you don't want a dentist, a pharmacist, or a physician that's not licensed, that doesn't understand the code of ethics working on you. So why do you want someone that doesn't have the license or the education to work with you? That's what
Mhm.
I don't understand. Nutrition is still a healthcare field, but people still forget about it because nutrition is such a buzzword.
Exactly. Um, I was having a conversation with someone a couple days ago, and she's a nurse and she works in the hospital. And we were just, talking about what she does in the hospital and whatnot. And we're
Right.
talking about, what I do. And, I was talking to her about the nutrition field and some of the problems within it. And I kept
Mhm.
saying RD, RD. And she was like, "What is RD?" And I'm like, "You work in a hospital." And she didn't even know what an RD was, which she's a nurse. Um, which just goes to show that much of the general public likely doesn't know either.
Let
So,
alone not let alone within healthcare systems in general.
exactly. Exactly.
Like I know depending on licensure and state laws, like dietitians are able to do only a certain amount depending on where you live. And it could be possible in her hospital, dietitians can only do so much. And that's why they might not have as much interaction with them because typically dietitians also interact with the kitchen as well. And
Right,
I
right.
just like in a setting like that, it's harder. Like I
Mhm.
get it,
Mhm.
but at the same time, you should be more aware in regards to tube feeding, in regards to um, like critical care
And I
or
believe she works
ICU.
in dialysis. So,
Oh my God!
I'm not
Sorry,
kidding.
I don't mean to yell, but like
Yeah. That's why I
my
was like, "Really? You don't know what an R like, do you not have an RD on your floor or something? Like, you don't coordinate with them?" I don't know. I haven't worked in a hospital, so do you have any opinion on that?
I don't know about the dialysis there, but dialysis in the hospital acute care setting is a
Different.
little bit. It's
Yeah.
different compared to an outpatient setting, which
Mhm.
I know for a fact all of the people that I work with know who I am and what a dietitian is, and they know that
Yeah.
I get mad when they say nutritionist, when they say nutritionist, so they don't
Oh,
say it
yeah,
about me.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
they know who I am, they know what I do, but in that particular setting where dialysis is more done for acute reasons
Mhm.
versus
Mhm.
like long-term reasons, I can't really speak for that part.
Yeah, it just kind of blew my mind, and I was like, "You work in a hospital." I'm pretty sure it was with dialysis. I'm like, "And you don't know what an R—" I had to explain it to her. Like, it
You
was
should
just,
I hope you told her that. I'm pretty sure there's like a handful of RDs in your hospital right now.
yeah. And she just didn't seem to know, like, be able to, in her mind, associate it. So I don't know. I don't know. Again, it just goes to show sometimes even those that are working in the healthcare field don't even know the difference themselves. So it's even harder for the general public to differentiate between credentials and no credentials and whatnot. So just a side
Very
note.
unfortunate.
Huh?
I said very unfortunate
Yeah.
because if I was there, I'd be raising hell. Hell.
So another side note we want to take in this episode is a Florida case. So recently, the federal court ruled that Florida, a state with licensure, can limit who gets to give dietary advice. So the ruling came out in a lawsuit filed by a health coach who was fined for practicing without dietary license.
Mhm.
So Heather Del Castillo had argued that Florida's law violated her First Amendment right to free speech, noting that dietary advice is found willy-nilly online in books and on TV. So the case underscored the varying state law on who can charge for personalized dietary advice. Some states do not require licenses, while some protect the use of titles such as dietitian. Others, such as Florida, restrict the practice more broadly to licensed professionals. So, as you can see, this is very complicated. Different states require different things.
Right.
But at least in Florida, it was restricted. So, go Florida.
Mhm.
The inconsistencies, again, give confusion to the qualifications of people who can offer nutritional counseling. Health coaches generally say they can help people achieve their goals and may get certifications from a variety of programs, but anyone can use the title, which doesn't have a consistent meaning. Things get even more confusing when you take like online coaching
Right.
into account. But like we talked about before, by contrast, registered dietitians with the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics have education and training that generally qualify them to meet any state licensing requirements. The Academy says it doesn't oppose like bloggers and influencers who share dietary views online, but that dietitians have the background to advise people with medical conditions such as diabetes, for example. So, in the ruling, the U.S. District Court in Pensacola said the state law is intended to protect people from incompetent advice and that the law requires a license to specifically charge individuals for counseling. It said the law does not prevent Del Castillo from giving dietary advice for free or from giving speeches or writing about nutrition. So
I can only imagine. I have to do it for free from
right. So the key here is, charging. But yeah, she argued that
it's
charging people was part of free speech.
she argued that she's like, "Oh, you're disrupting my free speech." No, that's not. If you want to say whatever you want, like this worked for me, that's fine. But
Yeah,
once you charge it, that's business, and that goes
exactly.
into, and nutrition is still a health professional field. So
Yeah,
I don't understand why.
exactly.
Whatever. So, nonetheless, the case was taken up by the Institute for Justice. I don't fucking know why they did this, but basically, they're a free market group. That's probably why they're a free goddamn market group that has challenged other occupational licensing laws, such as for tour guides. So the courts said licensing for dietary advice is different because clients are giving individualized advice, whereas tour guides give everyone the same information. So not same. So in response to this, the Institute for Justice said it planned to appeal. So this is still kind of an ongoing issue, and apparently, at least in the dietetics field, Florida is saying, "Hey, we need help to protect our licensure in Florida." So this shit is still going on, and it's very frustrating to hear. And if that wasn't already stressful, the same crap is going on in Mississippi right now, which is another state with licensure, with another health coach that wants to all of a sudden start an online business. I mean, imagine what the states without licensure is doing. Like, I'm getting frustrated. I don't understand what's going on. I feel
Yeah,
frustrated
yeah,
to say the least.
yeah.
Like,
And
everybody gives nutrition advice willy-nilly. Health coaches, they don't get continuing education. I mean, I'm not trying to put anyone down, but it's still a health profession.
yes,
Bottom line.
and there have been some very negative health consequences of people who are uneducated giving bad advice. Um, for shits and giggles, I'm part of like
Right.
different Facebook groups of like nutrition topics and whatever. And some of the things that I read about people asking for like dietary advice and the things people reply, I'm just like, what?
Right.
What? It makes no sense. Like much of it makes no sense. But
It's just very frustrating
you
because
can get really hurt. Like,
you don't hear people like all of a sudden taking advantage of medical information from physicians. You don't hear people taking advantage of dentists. You don't hear
mhm,
people taking advantage of nurses. You don't hear
mhm,
people taking care of occupational therapists,
right,
physical therapists,
right.
audiologists. Like I can go on,
Right,
but
like, no one thinks that they can just, like, call themselves a dentist if they're not a dentist.
right. So I don't understand. Like I get it's a buzzword, but I'm over it. You guys need to get over it too if you're doing it yourself. I'm sorry. That's just
Exactly.
straight up what I think. I mean, like some people may argue that dietitians may have a monopoly, but as you just heard us talk about, RD didn't even come up until 2008. Nutrition Week didn't even start up until 1973. So
Mhm,
a lot of our stuff, like we've been around for a while, but
mm,
our stuff wasn't established till later, which a lot of that is due to politics, food industries. I'm looking at you, McDonald's, and all that stuff,
yeah,
and lobbying and money, 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 money. So
mhm.
because
But it's also
food,
no one argues that, like, dentists dominate that field, or
right?
that doctors dominate that field, or that occupational therapists dominate that field. Like, no one argues those things.
Just I'm just so frustrated. And don't even get me started on chiropractors.
I know, chiropractors are weird.
And they still get reimbursed and they don't need to even get even a college degree in anything relevant, if a college degree.
I know. Yeah,
So
chiropractors are really confusing.
so
Yeah.
let's kind of simmer down a little bit and talk about well, if you have opinions on this, please let us know, and then well, we can talk some more. So with that being said, let's kind of talk about what can we do to help appreciate an RD as a nutrition professional, as a health professional in the field. First off, get all the things. We appreciate food, candy, snacks, coffee, gift cards, cash, and we also accept checks. So, so I mean, in all honesty, if you're a dietitian or if you're a DTR or a dietetic student, and the place you're working or studying at right now don't really recognize you or appreciate you like other similar healthcare professionals, let it be known. Let
Mhm.
it be known, like, okay, nurses have an entire week, they're doing something. You freaking go up to them and let them know about National Nutrition Month. Let
Mhm.
them like
Mhm.
coordinate with other healthcare professionals. We
Mhm.
have to be an advocate as much as the next guy.
Exactly.
So awareness only comes through true persistence and slight annoyance, in my experience. But that's just something to consider in order for the RD and the dietetics field to like continue and push forward and advance. We need to be
Mhm.
able to help step up and put in the effort as well. So
Exactly.
thank you for coming to my
Exactly.
TED Talk. So
Oh my gosh.
but with that being said, I hope you guys have a good National Nutrition Month and a good
Yes.
RD day tomorrow. Again, we do appreciate you guys. We appreciate national every one of y'all, our technicians, our dietitians, our dietetic students, our students getting their second degrees, like their masters.
That's me.
Hey, yep.
Hey.
So, um,
Keep working hard,
so
everybody.
So all of you guys are very much appreciated. So with that being said, to further give y'all more appreciation, we want to do our social media shout out of the week. And that goes to @TheCoffeeBean. I don't know. But I like that name, and she is a dietetic student, I believe, from the University of Alberta in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. And her bio basically says an appreciation account for all the foods I eat, which I'm sure we can appreciate that.
Yeah.
And her profile picture, her account has like beautiful pictures of her food. So
we like food. Yes,
we do. And she has really cool information underneath each post and how you can make it and the benefits and whatnot. And it's very appealing. Nonetheless, we appreciate you. We appreciate the support, and we see you.
100%. So yes, please like, comment, share stuff with us to be our next social media shout out. We appreciate all of you.
Yeah.
So we will catch you guys in the next one.
All right, guys.
Bye. Happy RD Day.
Thanks for listening to the Keeping It Juicy podcast.
Your main squeeze in nutrition.
Don't forget to subscribe so you can join us every Tuesday for a brand new episode.
Also, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Keeping It Juicy Podcast.
We'd love to hear from you, so please leave us a review.
5 stars, no less.
On whatever platform you're listening to, or send us an email at keepingitjuicypodcast@gmail.com.
Or if you have any topics you'd like for us to touch upon, shoot us an email. Until next time, don't do anything that I wouldn't do.
A practice exclusivity clause, which limits the I cannot talk. cannot talk.
Come on.
Why are these words so hard?
It's not.
I know. The practice of dietetics and nutrition also include a practice as
Oh man, you're special. Exclusivity
clause.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of syllables that just
words are hard.
Words are really hard. Okay.
So the state's professional licensing laws help consumers. Okay. So with that being said, stop. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Heather Del Castillo had argued that Florida's law violated. Why did it come out that way?
Violated.
Words today.